Perfect. So you know better than I that this is such a battleground, whether you can still stay with NVIDIA because there's so much potential upside, or whether it's time to rotate, as our last guest argued this week, that it's time to rotate into other parts of the industry. So why does NVIDIA have so much staying power, you think?
Well, I mean, first, we're actually rotating, within this space. And our favorite pick for most of the last year has actually been Micron, which, at the time we considered that sort of the poor man's way of playing AI because of the attractive valuation, the fundamentals we saw around that. It's not so poor anymore. Micron's up about 300% year to date, which is why we made this change.
Amazing call, by the way.
Thank you.
If you're right that NVIDIA has that much upside and it's going to triple, that would be quite something.
That would be great. But for right now, we see the opportunity in NVIDIA because the multiple has pulled back a bit. Stock hasn't done much in the last 6 months. And we do see some pretty strong fundamentals ahead for this year. The most important thing, however, and I think what's most misunderstood about NVIDIA is much of this upside is actually coming from pricing. And I think the concern on NVIDIA right now is about competitive pressure. There's others who can do chips and AI. Are they going to be able to maintain their market position? And we think the pricing tells the story there about both the sustainable competitive advantage they have as well as their ability to sustain the margins.
Who else? So when you say that you, to some extent, you are rotating, right? But for instance, when you say Micron was the pick last year, but this year, do you just say, well, it's in the market now? I'm curious what you would do with, as others are looking, elsewhere for the next big upside. You landed back at NVIDIA.
We did. And as said, and to be clear, we still like Micron. We still have an outperform rating on that stock. It's just that it's much less non-consensus as compared to last year. But NVIDIA's case right now, again, the multiple is in the low 20s right now on 26 numbers. We see upside to those numbers. And again, we talked about the pricing dynamic. As you go into 2027, they have another big product cycle. The product's called Rubin Ultra, where you have more memory on the chip. You go from 2 GPUs to chip to 4 GPUs. You increase the power. The whole premise of NVIDIA right now is, one, delivering value to the customers, providing more performance per watt, more performance per dollar, so that you can do more inference with the same amount of money, which the folks like OpenAI surely need. In addition to again, maintaining that competitive advantage against everyone else. And that's what we see over the next 2 years, which is why we think it's a good value right now.
And what's your response when people say, look at Gemini? I mean, every time you turn around, we're using it in the house more from a user point of view. It's being integrated into Siri now. So we're recreating the Apple, Google, iPhone. I don't want to call it monopoly. If they're using different types of processing units, these TPUs, at the margin, does that erode at NVIDIA's, possible addressable market?
Well, it's already in the market. TPU's already been in the market now, and I absolutely believe that TPU is NVIDIA's biggest competitor right now because the performance of those products are closer to NVIDIA than everyone else. But there's good reason for that, because Google's been at it. It's a TPU is going on its 7th generation right now. So they're really the only ones with that staying power that have been at this long enough. And I should say, it's not just the chip itself, but it's also all the networking and the systems right now. The chip performance alone is not enough to drive the performance that the customers need right now. There's a lot of other things. And so I absolutely believe that TPU is the closest competitor, but it's also because it's owned by Google. It's not going to be sold to the entirety of the market. There's another factor as well that NVIDIA has, which is a software advantage. They've got the best developed software tools for not just the big hyperscalers, but for some of the Fortune 500 companies that are developing their own AI as well. And that software provides them a competitive advantage as well that even Google can't match.
Early on Tuesday, NVIDIA shares continued to be under pressure as investors considered conflicting indications regarding the company's capacity to sell its H200 AI processors to Chinese consumers, as well as fresh doubts about the long-term viability of the larger AI investment bubble. As Reuters revealed that NVIDIA will not demand full upfront payments from Chinese clients for H200 chips, the company's stock fell by about 0.6%. The explanation followed rumors that NVIDIA had placed extremely stringent conditions on the China-approved processors, including requiring advance payment. Following Washington's decision to authorize sales of the H200, the most sophisticated AI chip NVIDIA is currently allowed to ship to China, the company reportedly increased criteria for Chinese buyers. NVIDIA responded to these reports with its thoughts. NVIDIA will not demand upfront payment, a company spokeswoman told the news agency, refuting the idea that the business was attempting to use stricter commercial terms to protect itself from political or regulatory risk. The explanation comes after it was revealed in December that Chinese IT companies had placed orders for over 2 million H200 chips, which, if fulfilled, would indicate significant demand from the second-largest economy in the world. The regulatory landscape is still unclear, though. Beijing has not yet provided any instructions on whether or how the chips will eventually be permitted entry into the nation. China has been working hard to become self-sufficient in every aspect of artificial intelligence, from software to semiconductors. Due in part to growing trade tensions with the United States, NVIDIA's chip imports into China were reportedly restricted in 2025. In light of this, NVIDIA announced last year that it will no longer include China in its earnings forecast, citing increased policy uncertainty. Prominent investor Michael Burry added to the pressure on the stock by declaring that he is betting against NVIDIA, claiming that the business is particularly vulnerable in the event that the AI spending cycle falters. Burry referred to NVIDIA as the purest play on the AI boom in a Substack essay that was published over the weekend. He said that the business is now totally reliant on hyperscaler spending and questioned whether practical uses could support such a large investment. Burry estimated that there are less than $100 billion in feasible application layer use cases to justify that expenditure, but he maintained that NVIDIA might sell up to $400 billion worth of processors this year. He stated, "I don't understand how that math works," adding that NVIDIA is the most adored and least questioned, making it, in his opinion, a reasonably inexpensive short. The investor targeted AI-focused cloud provider CoreWeave, calling it NVIDIA's pet, and implying that its success is directly linked to its continued aggressive spending on graphics processors. The investor's wagers against the U.S. housing market prior to the 2008 financial crisis were documented in The Big Short. Burry argued that big tech corporations like Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta platforms are not solely focused on artificial intelligence, in contrast to NVIDIA. He recognized that those companies would eventually reduce spending, write down assets, or even restate results, but he maintained that they would continue to be leading international enterprises even after the AI build-out. Burry stated that shorting Microsoft would be equivalent to shorting a global office productivity SaaS Goliath, citing programs like Word and Excel. The growth of NVIDIA has been remarkable. With a market valuation of over $4.5 trillion, the firm is now the most valuable publicly traded company in the world after its shares have increased by about a factor of 12 since the beginning of 2023. Bank of America just discovered a market setup connected to NVIDIA that is concealed beneath all the commotion that investors are still pursuing. Analyst Andrew Oben contends that NVIDIA's decision to essentially reschedule the AI build-out is what is causing the change, bolstering the argument for important AI infrastructure stocks. With its stock rising more than 1,082% over the last 3 years, it is evident that NVIDIA has benefited greatly from the AI movement. It increased by more than 30% in just the last year, setting several records in the process. Oben contends that the market is still responding to false signals by debating chip thermals and cooling efficiency. According to Oben, investors should calmly execute on the industrial stocks rather than following NVIDIA's next move. Join our investor community. Hit subscribe and like to get your daily NVIDIA stock insights and tutorials delivered. NVIDIA is really setting the pace for the AI sector in a lot of ways. Everyone else must therefore keep up with them when they decide to move to the next generation of platforms. While server makers must redesign their designs, hyperscalers must plan their installations. In order to effectively match NVIDIA's cycle, data center builders must simultaneously make efficient adjustments to their power requirements, cooling, networking, and rack layouts. The situation becomes more complex when one considers NVIDIA's unbreakable full-stack moat. After developers write for CUDA, the data passes through NVIDIA's networking equipment and NVLink. To put things in perspective, NVIDIA claims that its extensive CUDA ecosystem includes over 6 million developers and about 6,000 CUDA apps. Consequently, it is nearly impossible for businesses to change once they commit. Additionally, the lock-in is evident in AI market share figures, which researchers typically estimate to be between 80% and 85%. Ownership of the industrial plumbing that the tech giants depend on to stay up to date with NVIDIA's many redesigns is the true opportunity, Oben told CNBC, rather than following almost every AI-related headline. He claims that the market is constantly overreacting. He contends that even while the development cycle is virtually set for the next few years, the market is still responding to superficial rumors like less cooling. Oben pointed to Johnson Controls and Trane Technologies as two benefactors that might be the finest industrial companies to weather the storm. Trane Technologies and Johnson Controls' growing backlogs demonstrate the strong demand for AI-driven data centers. For example, Trane Technologies reported $4.66 billion in sales and a staggering $4.81 billion in bookings in Q3 2025, a fantastic 12% year-over-year gain. Furthermore, its adjusted operating margin increased to an impressive 21.8%, demonstrating exceptional pricing power. Furthermore, demand is growing. Lead times are currently between 12 and 18 months, but Trane has increased its chiller capacity by around 4 times since 2023, according to CEO David Regnery. Additionally, according to its CFO, Trane's commercial HVAC Americas backlog has increased year over year to around $500. At the conclusion of FY 2025, Systems NAMP services had an astounding backlog of $14.9 billion, up 13% organically, with a notable 6% increase in organic order growth in Q4. Control with more visibility was linked to advanced data center cooling, which included end-to-end thermal control. Investors took notice, particularly of JCI, which produced a huge 39% rise the previous year. However, Trane Technologies had a poor year on the stock market, making it a desirable bargain stock to follow this year. The businesses who are writing the largest checks for AI stand to gain the most, as Oben notes. Alphabet, Amazon Web Services, and Meta Platforms all meet the criteria because they are expanding their huge data centers over a number of years. Amazon. Following a staggering $89.9 billion in capital expenditures over the first 3 quarters that were connected to AI initiatives, the company's CFO recently stated that 2025 capital expenditures will be around $125 billion and will be higher next year, according to Reuters. Meta. According to Reuters, Meta increased its 2025 capital expenditures into the $70 billion to $72 billion range, and stated that AI infrastructure would drive even greater capital expenditure growth in 2026. Alphabet. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, reaffirmed plans to invest more than $75 billion in expanding data center capacity in 2025, with anticipated increases in 2026. The background. Big tech plans to invest close to $400 billion in data centers, according to Reuters. When NVIDIA debuted its new Rubin chip family at the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, last week, it made headlines. The main purpose of the new Rubin platform is to manage workloads from AI data centers. The new Rubin family of chips is designed to approach the AI data center as the unit of compute, not simply a single GPU server, according to the company. With GPUs, CPUs, and other components co-engineered to communicate data more quickly, the platform consists of 6 chips that are designed to function as a single unit. As NVIDIA's stock soared on the promise of this new strategy to handle AI workloads more efficiently, the market initially applauded the news. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.
You're bullish, not just for the year ahead, but through to 2030. Can you flesh that out for us a little bit more?
Yes, I mean, everybody's talking about AI, Gen AI, but this is only one of the 15 technologies of the future. They're all related to AI, but is AI, semiconductor, biomedical research, quantum fusion, defense tech, fintech, new material science, you name it. And it's a race between US and China. I don't think it's a zero-sum game. US is going to do well, China is going to do well. But my estimate is that the US potential growth is estimated today to be only 1.8%, could be as high as 4% by the end of the decade. And I've done a bit of a bottom-up analysis. And by the way, the data on productivity, after the GFC, average productivity between 2009 and 19 was only 1%. Since 2019, in spite of the dip during COVID, has doubled to almost 2%, 1.9. In 2024 was 2.4%, and the number from Q3 suggests was almost 5%. And by the way, the Atlanta Fed nowcast for Q4 GDP as today is 5.1%. Probably it's too high. But given that one, given the job number, you'll have another high productivity growth. Now, I don't think the productivity growth is 4% or 5%, but there is definitely acceleration.
Jobs is key. Is it jobless growth? So-called jobless growth.
Yeah. Well, is a jobless growth. There are three stories. One is that the GDP numbers are wrong, and the GDP numbers are going to be revised towards the weaker labor numbers. The other one is that, no, the GDP growth is strong, and you're going to have some adjustment upward of the revised data. I think the third explanation is the more correct one. You can have strong GDP growth and having weak labor growth because we're having a productivity revolution. If you're looking, for example, at the revenue, real revenue per worker of S&P 500 firms since the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022, the average has increased for S&P 500 firms by 15% in the last 3 years. So it's almost 5% per year. And if you look at it by sector, of course, a lot of it is closer to 20% in tech and communication services, but it's very large also across the board. So both at the micro data level, S&P 500 firms, and the macro number, we're seeing a productivity revolution.